My name's Becki Winson. I'm an organiser for the New Economics Foundation, which is an organisation which has been supporting this campaign from the start. NEF has been doing a lot of research and a lot of campaigning around the housing crisis and the causes of it for a long time now. And I guess what I would say in summation sort of generally is that there's three things to remember about the housing crisis. Number one, it is real. Like when I first started campaigning around this, some people would say, no, there's not that much of a problem. There is. No one my age can afford to rent, let alone buy, and that is becoming the case for a lot of different age groups as well. Two, the housing crisis creates other problems. So it creates fractured communities, it creates poor mental and physical health, it depresses wages, it creates homelessness, and it costs, not gives, our economy millions in sorting out those problems. And the third most important point to remember is that the housing crisis has been made. It isn't written in the stars that some people won't be able to afford their homes or have to live in terrible homes. This situation has happened because of a culmination of choices by governments and authorities and companies for decades. And what's happening to Fawcett's is a brilliant but terrible example of those people choosing to make a choice to keep people in bad homes. So that land is currently the property of everyone in this room. We're all taxpayers. That land belongs to us. If we were able to choose what to do with that land, I doubt it would be what Homes England, what the government and what the developers want to do with it. We would be choosing to use it to house people properly and provide community facilities. Instead, a handful of people have made the choice to try and sell it to one already very powerful and rich company. And Fawcett's is also a really good example of another really bad policy which has been pursued by all governments, again, since the 1970s. So it's talked about less than the NHS crisis, low wages, or the housing crisis itself, but it links to all of them. So that policy is the public land sale. So thousands of acres and pieces of land, like Fawcett's, have been forcibly sold to private companies over those decades. And NEF research has found that only 5% of homes built on those sites are affordable in the definition that Tricia gave earlier. 2 minutes, 1 second, Tricia. This makes other problems worse, because every time that land is sold off, that takes resources away from communities. We cannot fix the problems the housing crisis has solved without the land available to do it. So it is vital that people fight for sites like Fawcett's. You aren't just fighting for people's homes here, you're fighting for people's power as well. Thanks. So, there were some questions before about the next steps in the campaign, also around how we put pressure on Homes England, but also around what happened with the planning application and where things are. Where the site is at the moment is that it was originally put on the market in August last year. It was meant to be sold by the end of that year. Then it was meant to be sold by June. Then it was meant to be sold by August. Then it was meant to be sold by the end of October. Well, it's now November and no sale has happened yet. How Homes England work when they develop a site is they can't get money for it, or enough money for it, to make it worth their while until they've already got planning permission. So they will get planning permission and then sell it to a developer they handpick. The planning permission is due to hit any day now. I mean, we've been in that situation for the past 18 months, but from what they've said to James Duddridge and what they've said to NEF when we put pressure on about this, it's due to happen before Christmas. There is one really easy thing that everyone can do today, or take this home and do it from home, which is to be ready to submit a very short individual planning objection when that planning application hits. The more objections there are, the more pressure it puts on the council and the planning committee to reject that application, and the more we all take action, as Glyn was saying, as people on the streets, like out in our communities, the stronger this campaign will be and the more chance we've got of putting pressure on them and stopping this happen. Personally, the way that Homes England have responded to pressure at the moment is like any spotlight that's put on them through the media, they hate it. That's what's got them around the table so far. The Express coverage, when NEF have got any sort of like name check of them in an article we've written, they don't like it. And the other thing has been, if there is anything that threatens their planning application going through, they are terrified. It's always the first question they ask us: are people planning to object to this? How much? Blah, blah, blah. I think that this campaign can be won with enough pressure on the floor. There is political will in this town to do it. There is a need to do it. And as I've been going through the planning guidance for Southend, there are several things in the local planning document, not just the local plan, because that's not all it is matched against, that make it very clear that this site does not meet the needs of the town. And that's made even more true by the failure of previous administrations to build anywhere near the amount of affordable or social homes that they've aimed to do. And so, there are blank sheets of paper at the top at these tables. There is a template letter of how to write a planning objection, and there is a bit of research I've done. It's only one page on like the 3 points that are strongest to put an objection in on the grounds of. So if people want to take this and write it now, well, there's people here to ask questions if you need it, then that's great. And otherwise, feel totally free to take this home with you and look out for the planning application to hit. Anyone who writes it today and leaves it, we will post it for you and write the reference number on it when it hits, which will probably be in the next 2 weeks, is my reckoning. So it's really getting to crunch time. So thanks everyone.